If you want long, healthy hair and you have been struggling and your hair has remained at a certain length for a long period of time, don't give up and cut all your hair off. I'm going to tell you what you can do to get your hair healthy, thriving, and growing to your dream lengths. I'm Tamika, your online hair care teacher, and I'm here to help you grow longer, stronger, and healthier hair. So if you haven't done it already, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to like and comment too. So let's go on ahead and get on with the video. So what you need to do is analyze exactly what you're doing to your hair. And I'm going to give you 10 tips that are going to help you achieve just that. So a lot of times with hair care, we just do things out of routine and we don't know whether or not we're doing them right. We don't know whether or not we're doing them wrong. We just do it because that's what we know to do. And a lot of times, we watch a lot of videos and we get a lot of information, but we just don't know how to put it together. We don't know what not to do, what to do. We don't know what works best for our hair. So you really have to get deep down and figure out what works exactly for your hair. And one thing I do like to tell people is that if something is working for your hair, but other people are saying it's bad for your hair, if it's working, I say continue to use it because every head of hair has different characteristics. Every head of hair has different needs and wants. And so what might work terribly on person A's hair might work great on person B's hair. So just take that into consideration. So the first thing I want to say is stop switching up your hair products all the time, thinking that a different product might do something different or make your hair grow better or faster. That's like a number one mistake that a lot of people make. Oh, so this product promises this product promises that, so I'll go over here and buy that. And so you just wind up, spending a lot of money on a whole bunch of products, and now you have this whole thing of products underneath your sink or wherever you place them, and they're being unused and they're just sitting there because you keep constantly buying products all the time. So stop buying all these different products thinking that's going to help you. And don't go jumping on every trend, every bandwagon, trying to chase a hair growth promise. Like a lot of things out there, they'll say, hey, if you do this, you can grow an inch of hair a month. If you do this, you can grow an inch of hair a week and stuff like that. Generally, those things are just propaganda, y'all. Come on. If everybody who jumped on bandwagons did exactly what was going on, what was going on in the video, what was going on in the instructions, if everybody did those things, and everybody would have the hair of their dreams, right? There wouldn't be anybody who was struggling with growing hair. Am I correct? So don't jump on bandwagons. Remember that a lot of times when you go from bandwagon to bandwagon, it can cause your hair, actually it can be detrimental to your hair. It can be more harm than good to your hair. So just stay away from bandwagons. And remember, your hair likes routines anyway, and your hair performs way better if you buy products and stick to them, or have like a rotation of certain products and stick to that more so than you trying to find the next best product. And a lot of times we try to find the next best product when there's nothing wrong with the product that we are using on our hair at the present time, but we just need to clarify our hair and then start using the products again. Okay, so stop switching hair products all the time. Another thing is, just like I said in the previous tip, a lot of people always want to focus on how to grow their hair faster. So you need to stop focusing on growing your hair faster and start focusing on healthy hair. Focus on the health of your hair. Generally, healthy hair rewards you with length. If your hair gets healthy, eventually it's going to grow down. If you're doing everything that you need to do to get your hair healthy and vibrant, your hair is going to start growing down. Okay? So healthy, vibrant hair is free of major issues. So you don't have all the breakage and damage and stuff, when your hair is unhealthy. So if you don't have the breakage and damage, then that's going to eventually equal length. All right? So make sure that you stop focusing on faster hair growth and focus on getting your hair care routine down and just being kind and gentle to your hair, and focus on the health of your hair, and then the length will come. I've always said this. This is one little thing I used to say. Healthy and vibrant is the key. Length will eventually come for me. I have decided to just let my hair be. And so you should do that too. Just do what you need to do and let your hair do what it's going to do. Okay? So another thing that a lot of people skimp on, and it just surprises me to all get out while people skimp on this, because it's so very important. If you're not doing this, then your hair is not healthy and it's not thriving. Shampooing and deep conditioning. Okay, it's not just the shampooing and deep conditioning is the frequency of it. So a lot of people will stretch out their shampoo and deep condition day for long, super periods of time. Now, granted, there's a lot of people out there who can go long periods of time, their hair is thriving, no doubt, just like I said before, if something is working for them, it may not work for you and vice versa. But for the most part, you've got to shampoo and deep condition your hair more often because that adds moisture back to your hair, and hair loves moisture. Hair likes moisture and nourishment. So when you go long periods of time without shampooing and deep conditioning your hair, the moisture begins to release from your strands, meaning your hair starts to dry. Okay, so if you wait too long, your hair starts to become dry, and then what happens? Dry hair equals breakage. So just think about if you ever received any flowers, let's say a dozen roses, and you get all excited, you put the water in, you put the little packet of plant food in there, and you place the roses in the vase, and then 1, 2, 3 days later, still looking good, but you notice that the water starts going down, and so you don't necessarily put more water in, and then you go off and you forget about it. 2, 3 days later, forget about it. Now, like, the vase is like empty, there's no water, and so you don't replace the water, and then a day later, look, your roses are starting to look like this. They're starting to get super limp. And if you continue on in the process of not watering those roses, what's going to happen? They're going to dry out. And so you can take one of those dry roses into your hand. You can take it into your hand, and then you can like squeeze it, and it's going to crumble and break into little pieces. Guess what? Guess why? Because it's dried out. And the same thing happens to your hair. Whenever you go long periods of time without moisturizing your hair, without adding moisture and nutrients into your hair, guess what happens? Your hair gets dry and it starts breaking. So just remember to shampoo and deep condition your hair more frequently, and you can prevent the dryness and breakage. And if you can cut down on dryness and breakage, I wouldn't say eradicate it, because you cannot prevent like breakage altogether, not 100%, but you can slow it down like a lot. So if you can slow that breakage down to almost nothing, you'll start seeing your length come down, come down, come down, come down. So just remember, shampoo and deep condition your hair more regularly. So if you're stretching your shampoos and deep conditionings out a month, let's try doing it every 2 weeks. So if you're doing it every 2 weeks, let's try once a week and see how your hair will love the extra moisture that it's getting. Your hair will thrive, and your hair will start becoming super healthy, and it will stop breaking, it'll stop being damaged, and it'll start growing down. So another thing is, do not omit in between shampoo day moisturizing. And a lot of people, they'll get their hair so pressed, or they'll get a fresh relaxer or a fresh style, and they'll say, oh, I don't want to weigh my hair down. Oh, I don't want it to look greasy, or oh, I don't want to put product in it because it's going to revert, or whatever it is that's causing you to not moisturize in between shampoo days. But you've got to add the extra moisture in. Now, some people can go longer without moisturizing their hair, in between shampoo days. Some people only have to do it once, depending on how far you stretch your shampoo days. You're gonna have to put a lot of them in there. For me personally, I have to moisturize my hair with something at least 3 to 4 times in between, shampoo day. I shampoo my hair once a week, so I'm shampooing like 3 or 4 times a week. So if you shampoo every 2 weeks, then maybe you need to add extra moisture in 3 to 6 times, or 4 to 8 times. Whatever your hair needs. Don't go off of what somebody else says. Go off of what your hair likes. If your hair is super dry, you may need to do it every day. If your hair is not so dry, you may have to do it every other day, or something like that. But just find what works for you as far as in between moisturizing. But it's a game changer because it allows the moisture in your hair to be maintained, in between shampoos, and it prevents breakage. So don't omit in between shampoos moisturizing. And there's plenty of products out there that you can use for that. If your hair is straight, you're more than likely going to have to find some type of oil that absorbs into your strands well. And if your hair is natural, then of course you can use like the heavier creams and butters and some of the things that are water-based. If your hair relaxed, you don't want, any water-based products in your hair, so you can use oils for relaxed hair as well. So just find something that works well for you, for your moisturizing in between shampoo day, and then you'd be surprised how your hair will start just really thriving in addition to doing the other things. Now, I know there is like a lot of different beliefs about trimming. Some people say don't ever trim. Some people say trim often. Some people say trim as needed. It's just a whole bunch of things out there as far as trimming concerned. But as with trimming, you really have to focus on what your hair needs. One thing I can say is that the better you take care of your hair, the less you have to trim. In the past, when I was doing hair, my customers, some of them wouldn't trim but twice a year, you know. But on the average, I would recommend that you trim like every 3 to 4 months if you're taking care of your hair really well. You can stretch out a little bit longer if you decide to go in and do like search and destroys, where you go take strands of hair and you look at them. If it's split, if you see a split, you cut it, you know. But generally, for the most part, every 3 to 4 months is a good trim schedule for most people. One thing I will say is this: a lot of times people think that if they trim their hair that it's going to stop growth. First of all, your hair doesn't grow from the ends of your hair. Your hair grows from the scalp. So you can't, scalp hair doesn't stop growing. Scalp hair grows while you're sleeping. It grows while you're exercising. It grows all the time. It grows 365 days a year. Now, how fast or slow it grows depends on genetics, but it doesn't stop growing. That's the reason why back in the past when relaxers were super popular, we were getting relaxers like every 6 to 8 weeks, because we would start getting the little, new growth at the roots, and we, wanted to go on ahead and straighten it out with the rest of the hair. But a lot of people, out of fear, they shy away from trims, and what winds up happening is they go a long period of time without trimming their hair, and then the hair is really super damaged and broken on the ends, and so when they finally go in for the trim, they wind up having to cut off, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches or more of hair, to get rid of the damage, instead of doing little itty bitty trims, more frequently, like every 3 to 4 months. If you do little itty bitty trims, you'll retain more length, because you're going ahead, you're preventing the damage from happening before it starts. So it's better to be in preventive maintenance mode than to be in, oh, I have to cut all my hair off mode because I waited too long for trims. So we have to revamp the way we think about trimming, because no trims equals having to cut more hair off. More trims equals retaining more length. That's where we need to revamp our mind to. We really need to think about that. So let's reverse our mindset. Let's say to ourselves, more trims, but a little bit of hair at a time equals length retention. And no trims or stretching the trims out too far equals more damage and breakage, equals more hair needing to be cut off. So would you rather do little trims, let's say for an entire year, on average, this is average, and depending on genetic, you could get less or more. On an average, about 6 inches of hair you grow. But if you do teeny trims every 3 to 4 months in between of a 1/4 inch, or somewhere around there, you're cutting off less than a 1/2 inch per year, and then you're gaining 5 inches of hair. But if you wait an entire year to not trim your hair, and then eventually those splits and the breakage and stuff, it goes up the strands and it causes more damage and breakage because you didn't trim. So if you wait an entire year, when you get to that year mark and you haven't trimmed at all, and then you have to cut off 3, 4, 5 inches of hair, only gaining 1 inch of hair. So which one do you want? Do you want to trim more often and gain 5 inches of hair? Or do you want to trim more often and only gain 1 inch of hair? Trim less often and gain 1 inch of hair. So I think me personally, not even think, I am going to pick I'm going to trim more often and gain 5 inches, not that I'm going to trim less often and only gain 1 inch. Okay, so let's just revamp the way we think about that. Trimming is so very important. Now, one thing I will say is that, we are very emotional about our hair. And if you're going to a stylist to trim your hair, when I was behind the chair, I was not scissor happy. I always took into account, people's feelings. We are very emotional about our hair. You can, if you have damage on your hair, you don't have to go and cut the entire amount of damage off all at once. You can baby it. So you could start trimming like every couple of months and trying to get rid of the damage. You can just cut off a little bit at a time. So the first trim can be like 1 inch, maybe 2 inches, like the first initial trim. And you can go in and trim off like a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, a little bit at a time. So as the damaged hair, not the damaged hair, but as your hair grows in, you trim off, a little bit at a time, to remove the damage, because the hair doesn't split up as quickly as a lot of people make you believe. As long as you have developed a good hair care routine and you're moisturizing your ends and keeping them healthy and keeping them tucked away, you should be fine as far as like babying your trims, because that is possible. And that's what I used to do in the salon. I used to baby people into trim instead of cutting off 6 inches of foot of hair all at once. Protective styling is beneficial because it gets your ends away from the elements. It gets your ends away from being on your shoulders, or it gets your, if you have a backpack you put on or a purse you put on or your car seat, your hair might rub against that, or your clothes, your hair might rub up against that. So protective styling gets your ends tucked up and away from the elements and away from the things that are going on, and protects your ends from damage and breaking. So going to protective styles for extended periods of time can be very beneficial. Everybody can't stay in protective styles for a super long period of time. Some people can only stay in for maybe 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and that's fine. That's better than nothing. A lot of times I protective style and I'll just do, a different one every week, But if you can get into a protective style where you can keep your hair up for a month, or even keep your hair up for 2 months, of course, taking care of your hair, moisturizing in between, but putting it up for, 8 weeks max can be very beneficial, because it allows your hair to get a break from all the elements and from the rubbing and touching and all that type of stuff that goes on, and it helps prevent a lot of damage and breakage. So start off with 2 weeks and see how your hair does, and if you can stretch out longer than that, maximum 8 weeks on protective styles. And so, because our hair likes to be left alone and not manipulated, all the touching and stuff can cause breakage. So putting up in protective styles prevents you from touching it and all the type of stuff, which also prevents breakage. Isn't that something? And also putting up in protective styles, because it prevents breakage, it can help get you past that threshold that you've been stuck at. Say, for instance, if your hair has been stuck at shoulder length for a long period of time, and you've been wearing your hair down, in styles that are straight or twist outs or braid outs, and they're touching your shoulder, your hair just stays that length. If you go on ahead and start taking care of your hair and start putting it up in the protective style, then your hair is not going to break. And then you're going to gain, that amount of hair that you would gain while you're in the protective style. And so when you take it down, your hair will be just a little bit longer. And that's how it goes, So put your hair into protective styles and moisturize, shampoo and deep condition your hair while you're in the protective style. And then you'd be surprised how your hair will start getting past that threshold. And I did that in the salon with a lot of people. I grew a lot of people's hair from like ear length on down their backs, because we use protective styles to help get them past the threshold. It is an amazing thing that you do for your hair. So if you haven't tried it, you should try it, because you'd be surprised at how well your hair can do with that. Okay, so this is a mistake that I see people make all the time. It's while they're detangling. I've seen so many people detangle their hair without putting anything on it, without putting any oil on it, without putting any water on it, without putting some type of detangler on it. And guess what, y'all? If you don't put something on your hair before you detangle it, then that leads to damage and breakage. Because a lot of times, when you're in a protective style, when you take it down, your hair might be a little bit drier than usual. Or just because it's been put up for a long period of time, it has a lot of tangles and mats and things like that that need to be, kind of sorted through at a gentle, slow pace with some products on it. And a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people, they want to rough comb and rush through detangling. And during that process, you lose a lot of hair. It's not beneficial to be up in a protective style for 8 weeks and then you grow it into your hair, and then when you take it down, you're harsh to your hair, you're rough combing your hair, and then you wind up losing all of that progress because you have detangled improperly. So be sure to detangle your hair properly. Use good detangling products, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a plug in. Lengthy Strands Mega Moisture Conditioner is amazing, and this will help you knock out some tangles. I'll put the link below. This is my new product, y'all. Use this. It will help you knock out some tangles. So use good products on your hair while you're detangling. I actually have a video that shows you how to properly detangle, and I will link it below as well, so you can go watch that. But use proper products while you're detangling, and take your time. Don't be rough with your hair. use good products on your hair, and go slow and go in sections. Properly detangle your hair. Go in sections. And some people, they can take 2 sections. I generally take 4, but a lot of times I'll split those 4 into 8. You might have to take 16 sections, but take sections and take your time when you're tangling your hair, because if you're coming out of a protective style, you want to make sure you're not damaging your hair and then like slowing down your progress by being rough on your hair, because protective styles can be beneficial if they're taken down properly. You can gain length very quickly that way. But if you don't take it down properly, then breakage, breakage, breakage. Okay, so one thing a lot of people don't talk about as far as hair care is concerned is stress levels. Stress is a leading cause of hair loss and breakage. And a lot of people pass over that. You know, in this day and age, we live fast-paced lives. We're working around the clock. We're doing things around the clock. We're always turned on all the time. And even though we're operating in that and we seem fine, that can cause a lot of stress. Stress to your body, stress to your hair. So you have to find ways to distress and calm yourself. One of my favorite ways is to meditate on God's goodness and His Word. That calms me down every single time. But some find, you know, other ways to soothe themselves to get rid of like stress and anxiety. So you have to find out what works for you. But meditating on God's Word is a good way. So I'm just put that in there. So, I mean, stress, it can wreak havoc on your hair. So just think about that. If you've done everything that you know to do and you can't figure out exactly why your hair is still suffering, maybe you haven't thought about stress. I've seen this happen to people. I've seen people actually in my salon that came to me, you know, it didn't happen very often, but, you know, customers that had been coming to me for a long period of time, we grew their hair down their back. And whether it be from work or home, the stress started coming in and then the hair just started coming out. And I don't like doing stress cuts. That's not fun at all, because the thing is, doing a stress cut, that's only a band-aid on the problem. We have to find ways to relieve that stress, to eradicate that stress from our lives. That way it won't wreak havoc on our hair. So definitely find ways to calm your anxieties, soothe yourself, you know, have some me time, whatever you need to do to get yourself to be de-stressed so it won't start affecting your hair. We don't want that to happen, okay? So you need to break the cycle of breakage. Break the cycle of breakage, So while all breakage cannot be completely prevented, it can be slowed down tremendously. So a good cycle for length retention is grow, 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 or grow, 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 and then a little breakage, because breakage is going to happen regardless. It just is what it is. So it means that your hair is growing well, you're experiencing little to no breakage. Grow, 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 little breakage, okay? So the cycle of break, 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 and then grow needs to be reversed. So this means your hair is breaking faster than your hair is growing, or is breaking at the same rate that your hair is growing. So we need to reverse those cycles of your hair breaking. So we need to get on the bandwagon of getting our hair healthy so it can grow, grow, grow with teeny bit of breakage sometimes, okay? So what you need to do is establish a proper hair care routine and stick with it. That's so important. So hair loves consistency. Don't be doing all these different things every week to your hair thinking that this is going to be better. If you find something that your hair loves and your hair is thriving with that, stick with it, okay? So stick to the routine, stick to the products, stick to the timing of when you shampoo, whether it be once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month. I actually recommend like once a week or once every 2 weeks. I know a lot of y'all out there have big old thick hair and it's hard to get through and stuff, and so that causes you to have to stretch it out. But if it works for you, stretching it out, that's fine. But for others, you know, a regimen where you're adding moisture to your hair, shampooing and deep conditioning your hair more often is going to be very beneficial to your hair. So learn to love the hair that is growing out of your scalp. Don't be comparing your hair to other people's hair, because this is the hair that God gave you, so you have to work with this. If you work with a hair that's, you know, growing out of your scalp and stop trying to change it to be something that it's not, you'll be surprised how it starts thriving, and you might even start seeing some characteristics that you didn't even notice before that are very beneficial, that are very nice. Okay, love your hair, treat your hair well, and before you know it, you will have long, luscious locks tickling your back. Now, isn't that what you want? Okay, so before I end, I want you guys to check out my website, lengthystrands.com, for more information about my hair care line. I have a shampoo, I have a conditioner, I have an oil, and I have a heat protectant. Go check that out. I'll put the link below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And I am going to be teaching hair care classes more often. I'm going to be doing some live classes, and I'll put the link below for you to sign up to find out about those. And that's all I have for you. I hope you guys have a blessed, wonderful, amazing day. God bless you. You take care. I love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.